Hey pod gang, hope you're well. Simon Gibson here. Podcast is Success Won't Come Calling, which is for people who want to be better tomorrow than they were today. I'm just walking to the podcast studios to meet my guest this week, who is Sian Gabbidon. Sian is the founder of Sian Marie, which is a boutique swimwear and loungewear company. I believe that Sian is one of the most important entrepreneurs in the UK. From a very working class background like myself, she's gone on to found her own business and lead it to great levels of success. I'm really looking forward to talking to Sian about the early days of the business and about the qualities and the characteristics that she was able to build up, which have stood her in good stead. I'm also looking forward to speaking to Sian about her experiences as a participant on the UK TV show The Apprentice, which she managed to win in 2018. She received £250,000 investment as a result of winning The Apprentice, and also since 2018 she has had as her business partner a certain Lord Alan Sugar. Looking forward to asking what that's like. So, without further ado, please enjoy my discussion with Sian Gabbidon. Are we ready? Let's go. Sian, great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Pleasure's mine. Now, we do guest rider on the podcast, and I'm a bit scared because we're going to have a slippery nipple, aren't we?
We are going to have a slippery nipple.
Tell me what's in this.
So it's Sambuca at the bottom, and then it has like a layer of Baileys on top. So it's quite nice. Well, I mean, it doesn't look nice, but it should taste nice because the Baileys just covers the whole thing. So it's quite nice. So should we do the shot then? It's the first shot I've done on the podcast. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh, God.
Here's to your good health.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's nice, isn't it?
That was all right, that. Oh. Yeah, that was okay.
That was actually really nice.
I couldn't drink them all night, though. I mean, I know you're not supposed to, but I couldn't anyway.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, well, where do we start? Well, I mean, you know, I've described you as one of the most important entrepreneurs in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Well, and the reason I say that is because I think your journey shows what is possible with commitment, with innovation, and with a degree of sacrifice. And that's what we talk about a lot on the podcast. It's about succeeding through struggle and through meeting challenges. So I'm a great admirer of your business, of your approach, particularly some of the things you do with marketing are so interesting. So we've got loads of time to talk about all of those things. And obviously we'll bring the Apprentice and the small matter of your business partner being Lord Alan Sugar. So we're going to get to all of those things. But I wonder if we could just go right back, because obviously you and I are from relatively similar backgrounds. I grew up in working class Liverpool, and you grew up in working class Leeds.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was being young like for you? What was life like?
I think for me, I mean, like you say, I'm from a very kind of humble background. My parents worked full time. They've always had very like grafter type jobs. My mum works for NHS. She still works in the same job now, same as my dad. My dad's works for Unilever in the factory side of things. And it's always just been, they've always worked full shifts. So I spent quite a lot of time with my grandparents when I was younger. And that I think was where I kind of found my creativity and my creative flair. I was only young, but they'd pick me up from school. I'd go back to Nan and Grandad's and we'd be drawing, we'd be sketching, we'd be doing all kinds of creative things. And I feel like that's kind of where, my journey kind of began into what I've kind of started to do now, or have been doing for a long time. I guess my humble beginnings, I'm really proud of them, and I'm quite happy that that's been my journey, because I think coming from the, we've never been like poor. My parents have always worked hard and they've always sacrificed for me. I'm an only child. I've got no siblings, so everything they've always done has been for me. We've always had nice houses. We've always moved. We lived in council houses. They were always clean. They were always nicely decorated. Mum and Dad always made sure I was, well kept and I looked nice and well presented. And they kind of instilled into me that same kind of thing of saying, it don't matter where you're from or your background, as long as you present yourself well and you can go in and work hard and, and challenge yourself, you can be successful and do what you want to do. They've just had a very different upbringing to me. So, their goals were not the way that my goals have been. They've always kind of said, right, we've had a kid, we're going to work, we're going to provide for her, we're going to give her the best life that she can. And their whole journey was different. They didn't do uni, they didn't do alt like that. They just got the job, then they worked in that same job for a long time. And that was their plan, and that's cool. And I think for me, as I kind of grew up, I said to myself, and especially being an only child, because I'm really close to both parents, and I've always felt like because they sacrificed so much for me, that I've wanted to do more to kind of say thank you, I guess. So I've always wanted to do more than just do a 9-to-5 job or, just work my way up through the same job. I've always wanted to do better. And I think even from a young age when I was at like primary school to high school, I'd always performed well. I'd always got good grades. So for me, it was always about, if I've always been good at it, I want to be the best at everything I'm doing. I don't just want to go and work in a job and work my way up to the top. I want to have my own business. I want to make as much money as I can. I want to be successful. And that's kind of been, I guess that's been my driver right through. My parents, people always say, who's your biggest motivation? Who's your inspiration? And I know it's cliche and I know it's a bit cringy to say, but it 100% is my mum and dad, because they've sacrificed everything to give me the chance to do what I want to do. Where they didn't. They did things to make money, to provide. So for me, it was more like just do something you enjoy and be as successful as you can with it. So,
and I think some of those themes that you've talked about there, that drive, that grit, that sacrifice, is something we'll keep returning to in your career as you've built your business. But just to wind back to what you were saying there about you developing your creative skills and your creative interests, how did they first start to emerge? Because obviously your business now is in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
When did that first become of an interest to you?
The fashion side of things was probably high school days, maybe a little bit younger, to be honest. I think my mum bought me a sewing machine when I was doing textiles at high school because I enjoyed it. And that's what my parents were like that. I was always sporty. As soon as I got into a sport, that I'd have all the kit. I played football for years. I had the boots, and I was really good at football, to be honest. My dad still to this day says, you could have been a footballer. I'm like, well, kind of went down a different journey. I've done all right, but, could have been a footballer. But yeah, the creative side started, I guess, when my mum first bought me a sewing machine, and I didn't really know how to make things as such, but I used to just play around at home. I'd kind of cut fabrics up and mess around. And then I decided to choose textiles at college, and that's where it properly set in then, because I was learning how to properly make clothes. And then I kind of said to myself, I didn't know I wanted to have a business in it. I just knew I wanted to do it and I enjoyed it. So it was definitely getting my first sewing machine. I've still got that sewing machine as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have. It's been the best sewing machine. I mean, I've had it for years.
And when did you start? Because you've mentioned two things there. You've mentioned from a relatively early age that you were thinking about success. You were thinking about making the best of the skills that you've got. And then, of course, you then developed this interest in fashion. When was the first time you joined those two up in your thinking that this could actually be more than something you just enjoyed? This could be the first pathway the pathway in your career?
I think it would be, I'm jumping, but it'd be, so I did fashion at uni then. I did fashion design with marketing. And that was a choice where I kind of said to myself, I'm going to go with the thing I enjoy over doing something, because I was really smart. Like I could have done whatever I wanted to do really uni-wise. But I said to myself, do you know what? I'm going to do something that I actually enjoy for a change. So I decided to do fashion. And I guess that's where then at uni, I'd make bits. I set up an Instagram page. I think it was just after uni. I can't remember if I was at uni or I'd just finished uni, and started to make bikinis because they were very easy to make and I could use one sewing machine to do it and finish it properly. And that was where especially with Instagram, I started to think, actually, I could probably make money from this and do something and become successful at this in a way. So it was definitely kind of moving from education into then like social media platforms, working out what I was going to do for a job, because I needed to get a job once I'd finished uni, and it was hard to get a job in fashion in Leeds.
I can imagine.
Massively hard. And the tutors, I had this one tutor, I remember, and she was like, oh, if you want to succeed in the fashion industry, you're going to have to move down to London. And I was very much like, I can't really afford to live in London, and I'm going to prove you wrong. Somehow I'm going to prove you wrong. And back then, social media was just coming around, really. You know, your Instagrams were just about coming around, and it wasn't what it is now, but it was definitely a platform that you were learning you could use to build business or to make money from. So for me, I always like to have a driver that I try and prove wrong. So that was one of my drivers right through my career, was her saying you need to be in London. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be in London, so I'm going to have to do it from Leeds or from somewhere else. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'll find a way. And I do wonder now if she remembers. I bet she would say, I never said that, but she did. And she definitely said that to me.
Have you ever contacted her?
No, I haven't.
Wait, so that's interesting. So you seem to be someone who, in your academic choices, through selecting textiles at college and then obviously fashion at university, that you were very clear on your direction. Are you someone who at that stage had a plan in terms of business, in terms of starting your own business, or were you just enjoying the technical side of that, the skills side?
I was just enjoying it. I think at uni, when I was studying fashion, it was a lot harder than I expected, to be honest. A lot more mathematical, like a lot more maths than I thought there would be. And at that time, I didn't in my head think I'm going to set up a business with this or anything like that. I just thought at the end of it, I actually, because we had the marketing side, I thought that's my fallback if the fashion thing doesn't work out. And I knew I could get a marketing job in Leeds very easily. And that's what I actually did when I finished uni. I got a job in marketing. It wasn't fashion, really. We worked with a couple of fashion brands, but nothing major. And that was where I kind of said to myself, okay, well, I'll do the marketing. I had the Instagram page, and it had slowly started to become this business. So in my head, I thought, right, the job I'm doing full time, I'm going to soak up every single thing I can whilst I'm working here. And I'm going to learn all about the way that these guys are marketing their businesses, even though they weren't always fashion and it wasn't necessarily related. But I thought I'm going to soak up as much as I can. I knew I wasn't going to stay there for a long time. I knew it wasn't, my future. But I thought if I can learn as much as I could, because we didn't learn that much at uni, really, marketing-wise.
And is it, I'm interested in this. So do you mean as part of the fashion course, there was that marketing element of the actual sort of the curriculum, the subject?
You had a really what's really funny about my uni story is throughout uni, I was really good first couple of years, and then we got to final year, and I struggled because it was a lot harder than I thought it would be, and my predicted grade was like a 2.2, which is like a C.
Yeah.
It's like just a pass. And you make a whole collection as well as doing like a marketing proposal, and they basically said you're not going to get anything above a 2.2 now for your production. You can't change it. And I said to myself, do you know what? Because no one cared about marketing, no one enjoyed it, and I loved it. So with my final assignment, I thought, do you know what? This tutor loves me. So I thought I'm going to go in and I'm going to blow her head off. And everyone came in with like a little booklet that they'd done and just left it on the desk. I had a box. I'd done printed cupcakes. I'd made printed garments. I did everything you could think of marketing-wise in this proposal. And she bumped me up to a first. Her grade bumped me up to a first, and there was about 4 people in the year that got a first, and I wasn't expected. I was nowhere even near that list. So for me, that's another thing that I was like, I said to myself, I don't want to. I thought I've got right through school and college, and I've always done really well and got A's and A stars. I don't want to get to my final hurdle now and not finish with the best possible grade I could. So, I thought, how can I find a loophole in this and get this grade that I need? So, I worked on the marketing side and ended up with a first, which I look back and think that was I'm really happy that
that's an amazing achievement. And also it's evidence that you're thinking outside the box. And that's what we talk about in this podcast, when people are faced with that crossroads. The way I always describe it is with entrepreneurs, and just not just with entrepreneurs, but with challenges generally. A challenge is like a brick wall. in front of you. And there are two ways you can attack the brick wall. You can either keep kicking it or you can find a way to walk around it.
Yeah.
And I think the most successful people can sometimes find a way around it.
Yeah.
And it seems that that's what you were able to achieve.
Definitely. I think that can be kind of attached to so many things, because even just in business in general, every day there's a hurdle or there's something. And I think 90% of people, like in my final year at uni, most people would have just said, well, that's it, 2-2, that's me, that's what I'm going to get. But I said to myself, I'm not going to get, I want to do better. And it's the same in business. Whenever there's a hurdle, you know, most people would say, right, that's it, I'm done, I'm giving up. Whereas I generally will be like, there is an answer. There's never a hurdle that you cannot get around. It's just working out how you actually do it. And it might be a pain in the ass, and it might be the hardest route possible. But if you want to succeed, then you have to just find your way around it.
Yeah, there's always a solution. That's what I find in business. So you finished uni. You'd done ever so well. You'd found this way in which to achieve your full potential. Mm-hmm. Tell me which your business is Sian Marie. Tell me when that was born. How was it born?
So I'd had this Instagram page, like I'd talked about, kind of through uni, and it was more just a personal account. And I remember Instagram becoming a thing, and my friends all had it, and I was really against it. I was like, I'm not getting involved. I'm not interested. And then when I started to realise you could use it to make money or to promote things, I thought, actually, maybe it's worth a shout. So I had this page and I started to make these bikinis and just posting pictures, just like normal pictures, not professional shots or anything like that. I had no website, anything. And because it was so good back then, so organic, I instantly had people messaging like, oh, can you make me one of these in like green, or can you do me this in a size whatever? And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. And we did it all through Instagram DMs, and then I'd, transfer the money into my bank and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, did that for a short while. And then I started to think, this is probably, like, I could make this into a business.
So let's just unpack that slightly. It's fascinating. So at this stage, did you have a company set up?
Not as such.
So it was you. I mean, were you making the garments?
Everything. Oh God. But at this stage, because it was so like small scale, it wasn't like I was even pretending it was a business. It was just an Instagram page that had pictures of bikinis on, and girls would message and say, and then I started to kind of post and be like, available in green, blue and whatever, let me know what you want. So it was a bit more word of mouthy, I guess, as well. My friends then found out, and if anyone were going away, they'd be like, oh, I've got a hen do to go to, can you do me a bikini? So it was never even like, most businesses have a set plan before the launch and It wasn't like that at all. I didn't have ranges or plans. I just made bikinis because I liked them. And then the big kind of step was, we had a stylist message us to say that a girl called Kate Wright, who was in Towie at the time, really popular. She's with Rio Ferdinand now. She's got baby to him. But she was huge at the time on Towie, and this woman had messaged and said, oh, can she have XYZ bikini? And she picked about 25 of these bikinis. And I was one-man band at home. I was working full-time, so on the evening I was like, yeah, right, I'll make them. Made them all, sent them all out. And after I sent them, I thought, how do I even know this girl is... Like, this could just be someone scamming me out with like 25 bikinis. Yeah. But I'd made them all and everything, I sent them off, and I didn't hear anything really. And I thought, it's probably nothing going to come of that. And then she went to Dubai, and I feel like it was in January, and I don't know why I remember it being January. But she went to Dubai and she wore 2 of the bikinis, and that was where we just got like the following went up. I couldn't deal with the amount of messages we were getting. It was still very much just a small scale kind of business. And that was where I found the kind of power of an influencer. So after that, I said to myself, well, I can't just do this all through Instagram now. I'm going to need a website. I'm going to need to, I'd made a little bit of money. I thought I'll just put that back in and we'll get it looking good. But even then, I didn't have that much money, and I wasn't, I didn't know about getting like investments and things like that. I thought, I'm just going to, my parents are not businessy either. So they were not, they were just like, oh, it's great. Yeah, she's making a bit of money.
Can I just ask you, I'm fascinated by this. So, because I can't claim to know an awful lot about influencer marketing, and you've just made some really interesting points there that I think the audience will be interested if we just unpack. So you're at home, You're producing the clothes yourself. You've got an Instagram page, which is attracting some attention.
Yep.
That's allowing you to increase the production of the clothing of the garments. You're then selling them. The role of the influencer. Am I right in thinking that them wearing the product, even if it's to be seen on their own Instagram page, that there's a way of sort of signposting that back to you, who was the company who was making it?
Yeah. So usually with influencers, and it's different now because it has to be marked as a paid partnership if you're paying them, or there's certain things you have to do. But back then it's more just the tag your business page in it.
Oh, right, I see, okay.
So then people would click on the picture and be like, oh, this bikini's from them. They'd click on the page and then they'd get to the page and be like, wow, okay, yeah, can I have the same bikini as Kate? So it's all just tagged and linked, and it can just massively increase your following, increase your... You can even have it where it's a swipe up in the stories, so it swipes directly up to your website, or... I don't know. There's loads of different ways of using influencers, but they're usually the best too.
But this just happened by chance, did it, effectively?
By chance. It wasn't, it wasn't us hitting up stylists, or it was literally really, really organic. And it's completely different now, the way that we work, because it is, it's all done properly, I guess you could say. Whereas back then, I think what was nice is because I was just small scale one man band, just me in my name, like it is now, I guess, but my name still. Stylists like that kind of, it's almost like a one-off. No one else is going to have it. It's a bit more of a unique product. So back then it worked really well, because from that then we ended up getting other girls in bikinis, and it just went from there, really.
This is other influencers, basically.
Other influencers, and then it got to a point where I was like, okay, well, I'll just start to message people and see if anyone's going to reply. And the odd chat time, you would get the odd celebrity just saying, oh my God, yeah, I'm going away next week. Can you send me some bikinis? So, and you could do that then, but doesn't really work the same anymore. Am
I right in thinking that when the early stages of the business, that you were also working yourself? You had also had a job?
Yeah, full time. So I had a couple of different jobs, but I was in marketing pretty much throughout the whole time. I moved into different areas of marketing. I worked for Asda for a while in their kind of media department. And every time I'd moved jobs, it was partly to learn more about an area that I didn't know enough about. So I learned quite a lot about marketing at my first job. Then I moved over to the Asda side and learned a lot more about the digital side of things.
Right.
And in the end, even at the time, there was some things I thought, this is probably not going to be relevant really for me. But now in the business and the way it's run and the things that we do, there's a lot that I learn that you kind of are still implementing into the business now, even though it's a different model and it's clothing and it's not food or it's not whatever. Like, I kind of use that to learn what I didn't learn at uni.
And I mean, so you're taking that knowledge along your chain of your career and along your journey is clearly an ongoing theme, which is so impressive. Let me just ask you, did a point come when you just thought, I need to pack my job in and throw the kitchen sink, throw my full attention at Sian Marie?
Yeah, there were a lot of times of me getting to that point, but I think because as much as I'm a risk taker, there was a lot of times that I had a conversation with my mum and dad, and I'd be like, I'm thinking about maybe leaving my job, and they're cautious because they're, you know what I mean, they're old school, and they're like, just, you need the job, you need to be able to pay your bills, so there was a lot of kind of times I was like, okay, I'm going to just keep doing it the way I was doing it. But I thought for me to actually scale this, if I really want to, I'm going to have to leave at some point. And then the Apprentice kind of came about, and by that time it wasn't all me, the business had grown, we had a website, I had people helping, but I was still working full time. And then when the Apprentice came around, and obviously the full journey that happened with that was enough then for me to say, right, I have to stop work now. I can't win this and still be working full time.
No, definitely not. Well, I mean, I can't believe we're at the end of part one already. The Apprentice is something I've got so much to ask you about. That's a great point for our break. We're going to be back with Sian the other side of half time, and we're going to be talking The Apprentice. We're going to be talking working in partnership with Lord Sugar, and we're going to be talking lots about the future that you have planned for yourself and for your business. So stick with us, guys. Part one's been fantastic. We're back with Sian Gabbidon, other side of half time.
It's half time, friends.
My recommendation this week is a film which is called Saint Maud. It was out last year, but I only watched it very recently on Sky. I believe you can also find it on Amazon Prime. We're going to put both the link to the film and also to the channels it's on the socials when we release this podcast. It is a horror film, but it's not gory or anything like that. It's got a fantastic storyline. It's got some great performances. And I would really recommend that you guys watch it. Not with the kids, it's not one for kids, but I did watch it with my missus, who's not a massive horror fan, and she really enjoyed it. So this week's recommendation is Saint Maud, and now it's back to the podcast with Sian Gabbidon. She's amazing, isn't she? And we're back with Sian Gabbidon. Thanks again for doing this, Sian.
Fine, thanks for having me here.
I really enjoyed part one. Now, where we stopped was that Sian Marie, by this point, was a living, breathing business. You'd been successful in using influencer marketing and Instagram. You were still working for full-time at this point, of course. Now, then you applied to be part of a program which is called The Apprentice.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know, and I suspect they're very few and far between, The Apprentice is a show where budding entrepreneurs attend and go through a series of tasks, and eventually a winner is selected by a panel, which certainly in the year you won was chaired by Lord Alan Sugar, who we'll talk lots more about. But first of all, when you applied to go on The Apprentice, was it the part of the story I didn't mention is that the winner of The Apprentice gets a large sum of capital, which is used to grow their business and invest in their business. So was your application to The Apprentice, was it purely driven at, I need to grow my business, I need to access capital? Or was there an element of PR, of it was big publicity for you in the business?
I think it was both. It was a bit of everything, really, because I mean, I'm a huge Apprentice fan, and I always watch the show and I always think, God, imagine having that chance of getting that much money and then working with someone like Lord Sugar and having them as part of the business. And so there's every element, and obviously getting the PR. The PR it was more about probably mostly working with Lord Sugar, really, and having someone, because I knew about business, but I was a fashion designer. And I thought I kind of need someone who knows business in this now for me to make it really successful. So for me, it was always about getting the investment and working with Lord Sugar. But then the PR side of it as well was like, well, that's amazing too. It'd be good to just get some more brand awareness. But I definitely was most driven by Lord Sugar, I think. And
I mean, it is, I do like, I mean, I'm not reality TV usually isn't my cup of tea, but I do like The Apprentice. And the reason for it is very entertaining, but also it's realistic, because doing what the contestants do is what I would think of as, in business terms, as raising capital in like an equity market or like an angel investment market. So it's educational, because apprentice type fundraise situations do exist.
Yeah.
In terms of when you knew you were on the show, and then obviously you started to do these tasks that are allocated, what's the relationship between yourself and the other contestants? Is it a friendly relationship? Is it adversarial?
Oh, it's a hard one, because you live together in a house. So it's a bit like Big Brother and The Apprentice in one, but you don't see the Big Brother side. And we definitely were friends. We were everybody was a different type of character, and you put any set of people together and there's going to be explosions, there's going to be arguments. And I think when you got on task and you were on camera, some people were different than when they were in the house, and I understand that, because it's a task at the end of the day and it's a competition and we're there to win it. But you couldn't not become friends with people. And you kind of, your mindset, you go in thinking, I just want to go in and win. But you can't not make relationships with people when you're living in a house with them, pretty much 24/7. So I just went in there to be myself, like 100%. I thought there's no way I could go in and put an act on for that amount of time anyway. I'm going to go in and be me. I thought, I normally can get along with anyone. And on task, I thought, as long as I'm easy enough to work with, but I get my point across, then I'm cool with that. I thought, and in my head, I said to myself, as long as I don't go the first week, I'm cool with wherever I go. Like, I wanted to win it, but in my head, I just don't want to go that first week. After that, whatever happens, happens.
And how long is it? Is it about 2 months, is it? Or is it longer than that in terms of each what happens is, isn't it? Is every week there's a task.
Yeah.
And then Lord Sugar can fire someone pretty much at will, can't he?
So, well, yeah, sometimes he'll fire 2 people, sometimes he'll fire 1, sometimes he don't fire anyone. So it's all kind of dependent on how it works from his side. But it's long. I mean, is there 16 episodes?
I think that's right,
like one a week. Yeah. So it's a long time to be,
competing.
Competing, yeah. And that's why, after a certain amount of time especially, you're like, there's no way anybody could be acting anymore because we've just been doing this for too long now, and you wouldn't be able to do that. Like, there's been no way you could act your whole way through it. So I think it's quite nice because I went in just to be me, and I was me the whole time. There was no change in my character. I was always the same person right through. So yeah, I think that's what helped me as well.
So you got past the first week. And I mean, the money at stake's £250,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously that's a business changing sum of money.
Yeah.
When did you first begin to think, I've got a chance of winning this?
Well, I think I got about halfway, and you'd get to call home sometimes, and I called home and I kind of said, I think I might win this. And my boyfriend were a bit like, just relax. Like, you don't know, like, just, But I think you start to, especially on task, you start to work. It's really awful to say it because you're friends with everyone, but you start to find flaws in people and kind of find your way around the situations. And I think for me, I definitely got to a point where I thought, I know if I keep being on point and keep doing well with these tasks, I've definitely got a chance. I wasn't sure if I could win it, but I definitely thought I could get far. And that, I think as well, I'm quite competitive. So by sort of midpoint, I got to a point where I was like, right, I want to win this now. Like, I'm no longer just coast. I actually want to win this. And especially then you get to like final 5 and you're like, I am not going out at this stage. I've not come this far now to not win this. And I think because I've always been quite sporty, and my dad's always kind of, I've been like his little boy. We've always done sports together, and I was an athlete for a while. So I've always had a competitive edge, and I've always wanted to win. We've always trained to win, not to come second. So, if I'd have come second, I'd have come second, and it would have been cool. But I got to a point where and Camilla had that same mindset, which is funny enough. The girl that was in the final with me, we both were quite sporty and we were best friends in the house, but we had a really competitive edge to us. So it was an interesting one, really, because to be in the final with someone who's your bestie, it was ace. But then you were like, actually, we're rivals. So,
and I mean, anyone would have an element of rivalry when you got £250,000 at stake, exactly, which would really change your business. Yeah. Anyone who doesn't know, we're going to just move on to the final in a second, and sort of the moment you found out you won. But I'm sure people do know Lord Alan Sugar is one of the most successful entrepreneurs that this country has produced for many years. Yeah. He's a renowned, tough businessman. Mm-hmm. But also, I would say a respected guy. He's someone who's looked up to, and he's been able, as well as being very successful in business, to develop a media and an entertainment personality. And they're very few and far between people who pull that off. Before the final, before obviously he made his decision, what was your relationship with him before the decision, if any?
There wasn't really any, I guess. I mean, it's very much as you watch it on TV. There's not like behind the scenes, we're not all catching up and we're all friends, and it's not like that actually at all. And I wasn't sure how it would be either. I thought maybe, off camera you get to speak to people a bit more, but 100% is as it is when you watch it. There's no, behind the scenes chats or meetups. So in the final, I genuinely had absolutely no idea which way it would go. And the night before I was thinking, you're saying to yourself, am I going to win? Or maybe she will. And then you're planning, okay, if I do win, this is what's going to happen. If I don't win, then this is what's going to happen. And either way, I think when you're in the final, I'm sure Camilla would have agreed, you're quite excited. You want to win it, but you're excited either way because you know that either way, you've come really far, and you've got the PR side, you've got that press element, and you've got an opportunity regardless of whether you win or you don't. So for me, I'd kind of like, right, okay, if I do win, then this is my plan. If I don't, this is my plan. Either way, it's just, you know, you're really excited.
Well, let's come to that, because I'm fascinated by what you've just said. So you entered into that, you know, there was you and Camilla in. One of you was going to walk away with the £250,000, but also the opportunity, as you've said, to work in partnership with Lord Sugar. I'm interested that you'd addressed your mind to the possibility of not being successful. Obviously, you still wanted to win, but why did you do that? Did you do that because you wanted to give yourself a padded landing if you didn't be successful?
Yeah, and you know what? I think I kind of do that with everything I do. So I'm trying to think about when I was back at uni, and I was in final year, and there was like, you've got 2-2 or you've got a first. And I kind of had the same-ish plan regardless of what I got, but I did tweak them because I thought I just need to make sure whatever happens, I know what I'm going to do. And I've kind of done that at every point of my life. I've always planned to win and to be successful in whatever I wanted to do. But I've also had a backup, because I think it's really important that you have a backup. And I say that a lot of the time when I'm talking to people. I'm like, you know, if you're chasing a dream, chase the dream.
But have a plan B.
Have a plan B or have a backup. Just in case. Just in case.
Don't put your eggs in one basket.
No.
What was the moment like when Alan Sugar said that you'd won?
It was great. I'm such a big fan of the show anyway. You know, when watching it myself, you kind of like, oh, imagine that feeling of winning it. And to actually be the one, it was just bizarre. It was like, even now, I think it feels like it was a bit of a dream. It's weird, amazing, obviously, and life-changing. But yeah, it was so crazy. And I think it was amazing because obviously social media is such a big thing as well now, that then you have the burst of, you know, social media and people messaging you and random people popping you a DM just saying, oh my God, congrats, you did so well. Or, you know, meeting people who you would never think watched you on The Apprentice and them saying, oh, I loved you on Apprentice. And you're like, oh my God, I can't remember who it was. I met someone one time and I was like, I didn't even know you would watch The Apprentice. It's just crazy.
I mean, that's a real success story, isn't it? So you achieved both of your objectives. First of all, you raised the £250,000 in capital for your business.
Yeah.
But secondly, you've had that longer lasting PR benefit of you being more recognisable due to the profile. So mission accomplished on both counts.
Yeah, it was. It's been great for me. I think it's been great. And I think even just to have a platform where I have a lot of young kind of entrepreneurial followers, and it's really nice. I love when I get DMs from like young people just saying, oh my God, I loved you on The Apprentice. You've inspired me to want to do what you do, or, you know, I've got this business and I'm thinking about doing this with it. And I just really like that, because I think, especially to class it as a reality show, because I don't really class it as reality, because it is real.
Exactly.
But it's nice to be able to influence people in such a positive way. Do you know what I mean? And to be like an inspiration to younger people, I guess.
Well, I definitely want to come to that, because I absolutely understand where you're coming from there, and you clearly are inspirational. So we'll come to that. You win The Apprentice. Two big changes there. First of all, you've got £250,000 to invest in your business, and secondly, you've got Lord Alan Sugar as a business partner.
Yeah.
That was 2018.
Yeah.
How did business life change from that point? What practically changed?
Everything completely, because we were small. We were, you know, a small business, and the way that we were running the business, the way we was producing the product, everything completely changed. And because of The Apprentice, and obviously because of Lord Sugar, the interest that we got, the retailers that were wanting to stock the product, everything just meant, okay, we need to completely change the way that we're running. We were going into, you know, we needed to find factories to go into mass production. We needed to, our timelines on, God, when I think back, we had to catch up a whole year really with the way that we produced product, because we were very much made to order, bang on. You know, we were producing ranges, shooting them straight away, going online. To do retail, you need to be at least a year ahead to be pitching them into them and saying this is for next summer or whenever. So the whole way of us working completely changed. And there was a lot that I had to learn that I didn't even know about. From even I know fashion and I know the industry, but there's a lot that I didn't learn at uni. And you know, even Lord Sugar, he's not fashion as such. So there was a lot of finding answers where I didn't have them. So the first year was it wasn't difficult, but it was just a lot of hard work and finding answers, trialing things. Sometimes, God, influencers massively are just a bit of a trial sometimes because you have no idea how well it's going to do, if it is going to do anything. So, you know, you kind of testing the water. It's always a bit of a gamble, I think, in business. There's always that element of taking a risk.
So did you, the influencer marketing strategy that continued, did it after Lord? Do you call him your Lord Sugar?
Yeah. People say that, you're like, do you not call him Alan? I'm like, no.
Do you
call him
not?
Lord. Yeah.
Could you see if he was here now? I'd insist on calling him Alan. He'd say,
Al.
you're fired. Get out, even though it's your own podcast.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Lord Sugar still. Maybe at some point, you know, be Alan or Al, but it's Lord Sugar.
Shugs. So, but influencer marketing was already working, obviously combined with social media.
Yeah.
So that's been a strategy that you've continued to pursue.
Yeah, it has. But what's been interesting about that is throughout the years then it changed. You know, social media is not what it was back when I was first using it. It's very much about paying for media now. It's very much influencers. You know, it's no longer just dropping them a DM at all. Even now, you know, you have your micro influencers who have got smaller followings, but they still won't be gifted. You know, some of them you will still have to pay them a small amount for them to post. So the whole strategy kind of shifted. So our strategy had to shift with that because we could no longer just rely on, you know, messaging people or them coming to us. And, you know, we are back, God, even swimwear, it's a massively competitive market. Anything fashion is, you know, and you've got the likes of your PLTs, your Boohoo's, your big dogs, the fast fashion brands who can literally churn things out, churn designs out within a couple of days. So
how do you differentiate yourself from those sort of big brands?
We our price range obviously is higher than theirs, and we're not in any way trying to compete with those guys at all. I think for us, because we're kind of, especially now we're loungewear, we do have a swim still, but we're more sophisticated. We're kind of angling it at people who don't want to be seen in a product that everybody else is wearing. We're kind of taking a different approach, I guess, to what, you know, we're not just churning out new designs every week. We're kind of building ranges that will be our standalone designs that we create in new colorways moving forward.
So it's more of like a boutique style offering.
I guess you could say it that way, rather than us just having absolutely thousands of SKUs on the site and offering everything in the world and every type of product. We literally have loungewear, which we kind of shoot where you could wear it on a night out if you really wanted with a pair of heels or for brunch, but you can also wear it to chill at home. And then we do still have the swim element as well. So,
and was that motivated? Was that diversification into loungewear from pure swimwear business? Was that motivated purely by COVID, or was it something that was there anyway?
It was there anyway. We always knew with the brand and with the product, we needed to bring something else in because swimwear, especially UK, I mean, we are a UK brand, really. We have retailers international, but we're not as known out there. So we always knew we needed something else because once you get to winter time, there's so many elements that rely on things with swim. It's like, okay, what we're going to do for winter then this year? So we'd always planned it, and we did drop little bits of lounge. We tested some lounge. We tested party wear for a little while. But then when COVID hit, it was like, okay, we need to go now. Like, this is the time for us to actually properly push for this, because otherwise we dropped a range in March, the summer swim collection, and COVID hit, and it was like, oh my God, people sending bikinis back because the holidays are being cancelled. So you literally,
I was going to say, we've not had our cozies on very much in the last year. So.
And you know, we had a night, it was warm, and there were, people were still wearing bikinis at home, but our bikinis are not bikinis that you just wear at home. Do you know what I mean? They're like multi-weight, they're like Ibiza party bikinis.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was very much like, if we don't do something quick, then no matter how much money we've got and invested and whatever, like, it won't go well. We need to find another option.
So that's fascinating, because again, this is something which I see a lot in successful people, definitely successful business people, but I think successful people generally. So you responded proactively to the COVID threat, in that you took a stock take. You decided that to keep the business in good health, you'd have to take a quick decision and diversify. That's impressive.
Yeah, and I think, do you know what? It was a challenging time. I'm pretty sure that every single person you'd speak to, whether they're a business owner or not, it was a challenging time for everyone. And I think for us, it was a bit like we could sit back and just, hold still for a while. But even then, you have your outgoings. It's not going to work. We need to do something to make some money. So we actually initially started to rework some of the swim and produce face masks, because it became the point when he said wear face masks, get washable, reusable ones. And we were like, well, actually, it's great because the Lycra works well. It's stretchy, it's washable, it's reusable, it's recycled, so it's sustainable. It was ticking loads of boxes, and we were like, let's just try it. And that actually worked really well. But it was again like, okay, we can't. This isn't the plan. This can't be the answer. And you have to think then ahead, thinking, okay, the retailers that have purchased the swim, we have no idea how long this COVID's going to go on for. They're not going to be purchasing swim within the next buying kind of session. What are we going to do? So the loungewear kind of helped us launch something really quickly online, whilst working in the background to create new ranges to sell into retail, which is exactly what we did.
A great business decision in terms of that diversification. I'm pleased it's got you through it. So 2021, we hope COVID's behind us. What are your goals business-wise in the next sort of 2 or 3 years?
I think the key thing is to keep pushing the lounge. It's always about growth. It's keep pushing the loungewear. It's already done really well. We've got it into quite a few different retailers, UK, international. We're in one of the biggest retailers in Dubai, biggest retailer in Ireland. And this is kind of their first test of the product. So now it's about making sure that it does well with them, so they buy again, as well as then growing the online business really, because we've really pushed retail. Online is online, but we want to push the online as well now and just ramp everything up really, and keep selling, keep bringing out new swim too, because the swim is the brand. We don't want to lose who we are. But yeah, the loungewear has just been so successful. And to see someone like Molly May wear a gilet just because we've sent her it in the post is enough for me to think she likes the product. And that's one thing that we really like, or I love about the brand, is we do pay influencers sometimes, but a lot of the time we gift people. And to see them wear it without them being paid, somebody like her especially, it's like a pat on the back to say, yeah, we like. Well,
I was going to say, you can't get much better evidence than someone actually using your product, wearing your clothes, whatever it is.
That's why I think paid it's good because it works, but it's, as a fashion designer, it's a little bit disheartening. It's a bit like, I have to pay you to wear something I've designed. It hurts a little tiny bit, but to gift people and to see people wearing it. We had an influencer called Jordan Lipscomb she's massive YouTuber. She actually messaged us and we ended up sending her the full range, and she did a big haul on YouTube for us, which is like a try on. She tried all the clothes on and filmed it. And, that again was just really organic, and she just said, I love the brand and I love the product. And for me, it's just like, this is just exactly what you want as a business owner. Do you know what I mean? And
it gives you such a great opportunity to scale and to grow in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe we're nearly out of time. It's been so fascinating, Sian. The final question I always ask all of my guests is, what does success mean to you?
Oh, God, that's a big question. I think success to me, from my experience, success links directly to growth and to continuing to push. I think some people would say success means being really rich and being really, and I actually see it the opposite way, where I'm like, once you become successful, you will become rich a lot of the time. But to become successful, you just need to grow and you need to push, you need to sacrifice, you need to work hard. There's so many things that I think as well with social media now, you can be clouded by seeing someone who's really successful and thinking, oh, wow, like, I want to be like them. But you don't see the bad side. You don't see the long hours, the long days in the offices, the stress that they have to go through to be that successful. So, yeah, I think for me, it's just about growing and pushing and continuing to sacrifice and work hard.
Absolutely. I mean, what we always say in the podcast is that the key to success is wanting to be better tomorrow than you were today.
That's a good one.
And I also, my own personal view is the same as yours, is that money, yes, it's important. You should never hide or be shy or feel self-conscious about the fact that you want to earn as much money as you can.
Yeah.
But really, without happiness and without humility and without being a fully rounded human being and making the most of the skills that you've got, well, money's useless, isn't it?
It is, 100%. I mean, mental health, happiness, that is a massive part of success. Some people, my parents are very successful in their life. They have done what they've wanted to do. They're very comfortable and they're very happy and they're very successful. And some people might look and be like, well, that's not how I see success. Success is however you see it in your head and however you want to, if you want to, your plan can be whatever it is. And if you get to that, then that's you're successful in that. So, it's just down to whatever you want to do with your own life and where you want to be.
Absolutely is. One of the things I've been so impressed with today, Sian, is that you are very comfortable with what you've achieved. You're very inspirational in the way you talk about it. And that's what our podcast is all about. It's about celebrating success, but also showcasing sacrifice, showcasing challenge. And I think you've showcased all of those things fantastically. So you've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
My very best of luck to the future. We hope we're going to see you again. But in the meantime, it's Sian Gabbidon. Go on, Minnie, you can ask Sian a question. You can put the headphones on if you want.
Oh, do you want to put the headphones in?
Go on. Go speaking to this. Go on.
Don't be shy.
What? Have you ever been sad? Like you can't reach your perspective of your business.
So, have I ever been sad and thought, I don't know if the business is going to work?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you have a business, there's sometimes are hurdles and things that stop you from being able to do what you want to do. And I have that every single day with a business. Every single day there's a problem or there's an issue or there's something going on that stresses me out and makes me sad and makes me upset. But the more that you grow with the business, the more that you get hit with these challenges, the more that you just find an answer to them. And you're like, right, next on to the next challenge, on to the next step. And, you just keep going. So,
and
yeah.
that's the key. That's the key to doing your best. So when you do it at school and you feel like giving up, that's what Sian didn't do. So that's why we mean you when we get to see your homework and everything. That's why.
I don't like homework.
Sian, honestly, that was amazing.
Okay, so we've just had Sian on, the winner of The Apprentice. What an inspiration she was. For such a young, beautiful woman, she's not only beautiful, but the brains behind her. She started out making bikinis from a sewing machine in a back room to having this wide-scale business and winning The Apprentice.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was hanging on every word.
Yeah.
I mean, what an entrepreneur. What an inspiration. And my view on this is that we don't focus enough on people who have been successful.
Yeah.
We perhaps, in life, we focus too much on the negatives. And I think you could put Sian Gabbidon in front of a group of young people and they would gain more inspiration and determination and self-belief than they would in 100 lessons at school. I'm not saying they shouldn't have the lessons at school as well, but I think we need to put inspirational young entrepreneurs like Sian in front of the next generation and say, this is the evidence that you do not need to let anything hold you back. So I thought she was an inspiration.
Oh, definitely. Even just the way she was speaking, it's like whatever you was to give her, she's got that success mindset. Like she will make it work. She talked about being an athlete in the past, and athletes tend to have that mentality, don't they? That the winning mentality. I just thought that was fantastic what she was talking about.
Well, I agree, and one of the reasons I want to do the podcast is because I think success is a DNA rather than an area of technical competency. Mm-hmm. So I think if Sian
ever wasn't in the fashion business anymore, and she went into the food business or the fitness business or the tech business or whatever it was, I think she would take that DNA with her and she would make a success of that career as well. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, definitely should take it and apply it no matter what. And I think that's a great tip for anybody thinking about starting their own business, or for anybody, you know, looking to change career or do anything just to succeed.
I agree. And that's why I think that successful people need to be viewed as role models. They need to be put in front of the next generation of successful people. And I would put Sian right up in that category. So it was another brilliant episode, but we better call it a wrap, hadn't we?
100%.
Me and Stacey are done. Thank you so much to Sian Gabbidon, our guest. The podcast is successful and come calling. We hope to see you next time, guys. This is the podcast for people who want to be better tomorrow than they were today.